Okay, so if I'm looking at the first question here, a shop sells gift wrap for $4 per package and greeting cards for $10 per package. If the shop sells 205 packages in all and receives a total of $1,084, how many packages of gift wrap and greeting cards were sold? On all these application problems, there's going to be two main things you're talking about. You need to identify them. What are the two things that we're talking about here?
The packages.
Yep. So, go ahead. And the cards. So you have gift wrap and you have greeting cards. So you are going to let one of them represent X. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to choose X is gift wrap because that's the first one I came to.
Dang, counting off one of these lights.
Sure. And Y is going to be your greeting card.
I can get one or two.
Come get one then. Okay. If you wanted to not use X and Y and you wanted to use W for wrap and C for card, that's fine. I'm using X and Y because that's what a standard form equation has, is X and Y in it. Right? Now, if I'm looking at this, we have four numbers that we can look at. We have $4, $10, $205, and $1,084. Three of those numbers go together. What three numbers go together? Go ahead.
$4 per package, $10 per package. And would it be equals all 1,084?
Yes. Okay, so I highlighted the $4, the $10, and the $1,084 because those are all dollar amounts. Okay? So you're going to always put the same unit together. So I'm going to have 4x plus 10y equals 1,084. Now, the other number that we have is 205. So I sold a total of 205 packages. So you don't know how many gift wraps you sold, and you don't know how many gift cards you sold, but you do know the total. That was 205. So I say x plus y, so the number of gift wraps that I sold plus the number of greeting cards equals 205.
So basically we have to solve for X, huh?
Yep. It's a system, so you have to solve for x and y. After you set up the equations, this is similar to what we did on the opener, similar to what we spent the last 2 weeks doing with systems of elimination. Okay? We usually eliminate the y. So if I'm going to eliminate the y, I need to multiply the bottom by
10.
negative 10. Do you have to multiply the top by anything? No, you could multiply it by 1, but it's not going to change it. So we are going to have 4x plus 10y equals 1,084. And then I'm going to have negative 10x minus 10y equals negative 2,050. These usually produce large numbers. That's the reason why a calculator is going to be very helpful.
Oh, you think you can wait and stuff to get that over there?
Okay, if I have 4x minus 10x, that's going to be negative 6x. The y's go away. And if I have 1,084 minus 2,050, negative 966. And then you can divide by negative 6. And x equals 161. So I sold 161 gift wrap. How do you figure out how many credit or greeting cards you sold? Okay, plug it in. Does it matter which equation? Which one's easier? Ooh, actually not. The bottom one is the easier one here. You may use the top, but the bottom one's easier because I would just do 161 plus y equals 205. And all I would have to do is subtract 161.
Why would you do that? And, it's negative 10x and negative 10y equals negative 205.
You can put it into that one if you'd like also. I went back to my two original equations. You can plug it into any of those equations. It will all give you the same answer. It will be 44. So it will be 44 greeting cards. When you do these problems, Math Excel is not going to ask you for them as an ordered pair. It's going to say this problem, and then it will say how many packages of gift wrap and how many greeting cards were sold, and then it will say, it will give you a blank, and then it will say gift wrap, and then it will give you another blank and say greeting cards. Okay, so you'll just have to fill in these two numbers. It's not written as an ordered pair. Questions?
No.
Okay. So if you're looking at question number 2, see if you can identify the two things that you're talking about in this equation. A collection of quarters and dimes is worth $4.25, and there are 23 coins in all. How many of each are there? So identify the two things. One you're going to let be X, the other one you're going to let be Y.
You want us to tell?
Do you want to tell me? I just want everybody to think about it for a minute, and then somebody tell me. So, Jonna, do you want to tell me?
Do I want to tell you?
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong?
You're wrong. No big deal.
Oh. I was gonna say we can use X as quarters and then Y as dimes.
Yep. So, X is quarters. Y is dimes. Okay, if we look at this, we only have two numbers that are given to you. You have one that's $4.25 and one that's 23. One's money and one's a total. So they cannot go in the same equation. We also know something else. It's not specifically told to you, but you do know something else in this problem.
Quarter is 25 cents and then it's 10.
Okay, you know a quarter is 25 cents and you know a dime is 10 cents. So you actually have four numbers very similar to the last one. So the first equation then would be quarters, which is 0.25x, plus a dime, which is 0.10y, equals $4.25. And then what's the other equation going to look like to include the number 23? What is 23 made up of? It's your pile of quarters and your pile of dimes, right, Trey?
X plus Y equals 25.
Yep. However many quarters I have plus however many dimes I have equals 23 coins total. Okay, very similar to the last one, just different numbers. So how are you going to solve this? What am I going to have to multiply this equation by? Do I need to multiply the top equation by anything?
Nah.
No. What are
Multiply by 23.
you going to multiply the bottom equation by?
Negative 10.
10.
Negative 0.10. Don't forget the decimal point. 10 cents is different than $10. Go ahead and multiply that. If you're not for sure because you're working in pen, see if you can locate a pencil.
Go pick it up.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, take this equation and this equation. Okay. No, you can put it to the bottom. Yeah, it doesn't matter the figures there.
Is this what I'm supposed to get? Am I supposed to do this?
Yep, that's right. That's quarters, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly.
What'd you get, Shamir?
13. That was 14.
I mean, how did you get there? I must have did something wrong. Did I do this wrong?
Yes, if you get a decimal, then there's a mistake somewhere. And right here's your mistake. What's 0.25x minus 0.10x?
You got multiply both equations by 10?
No, only the bottom one, and it has to be by negative
So is
10.
this right, this,
Okay, so this equation's gonna stay, now multiply that.
What did it do? The negative 0.10x minus 0.10y
Mm-hmm.
equals negative 230.
Yeah,
And you added like
it's negative $2.30.
oh, that's probably why I messed up.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
What did you get? Did you multiply it out? Okay. But they're not all gonna be straight from out of your head, but that's good that you did that.
is this right?
Yep. Okay. Don't work ahead because the next problem has a typo in it. Actually, it has a couple typos, but don't work ahead if you're thinking about that. Okay, so the first equation is going to stay the same. The second equation would be negative 0.10x minus 0.10y equals negative 2.3. I'm going to add the 0 since we're talking about money. And so this would be 0.15x equals 195 and divide by 0.15. So x equals 13. So I have 13 quarters. Next part's up to you. If there's 23 coins total and 13 of them are quarters, how many have to be dimes? 10. If you can do that part in your head, do that in your head. If you can't, then substitute it back in. 13 plus y equals 23 and subtract the 13. Some of them might be easy enough that you can do in your head, and some of them might not be. But most of us got that. If you didn't, let me know and we'll find your mistake so you can understand that. Okay, number 3. Number 3 has the typos in it. So the first typo is the number of people. So this should not be 283. This should be 326. So there's 326 people, and it's not a concern, it's a concert. So it should be a T. Okay, admission was $13.50 each for adult and $5.50 for each children. The receipt where the total amount collected was $2,945. How many adults and children attended? Okay, what are the two things that you were talking about?
The concert and the admission for adults and children.
No.
Oh,
So
the
two
admission
thi-
and the receipts, and how many adults attended.
Admission for children and admission for adults.
Okay, so we have adults, I'm going to shorten that, and children. If you want to say admission for adults and admission for children, that's fine. Okay. First equation. Now this one I have 4 numbers. You are going to look. Here are dollar signs. So I have $13.50, I have $5.50, and I have $2,945. Those have to make up one equation. So that equation would be 1350x, because my x is adults, plus 550y, because y is children, equals $2,945. Now, there was 326 people altogether that attended the concert. So how am I going to write that as an equation? Very similar to how you wrote the
Plus y equals 326.
second equation. X plus y equals 326. Because however many adults walk through the door plus however many children walk through the door has to equal the 326. Multiply the second equation by negative 550. So 1350x plus 550y equals 2,945. And then when I multiply, I'm going to get negative 550x minus 550y equals,
Negative 1,793.
okay, thank you. So 1350 minus 550 is 8x. Y will go away. 2,945 minus 1,793.
1,152.
1,152. And divide by 8. Is it possible to get a decimal here?
No.
No, you cannot have a half person. Realistically. So what is 1,152 divided by 8?
144.
Okay, so we have 144 adults at the concert. How many children are at the concert then?
182.
We're going to do 144 plus y equals 326. So y equals 182. Questions? Okay, last question then. Okay, so I'm giving you a test worth 100 points, and it contains 40 questions. There are 2-point questions and 4-point questions on the test. How many of each type of question is on the test? So there's 40 questions total. Some of the questions are 2-point problems, some of the questions are 4-point problems. I need to know how many are 2 points, how many are 4 points. So what are the 2 things I'm talking about on this test?
2 point and 4 point.
2-point and 4-point problems. So I'm going to say X is 2-point problems, or questions. I'll use questions since that's the word in the problem. And Y is 4-point question. Okay, just like like when we did the questions with money. We took the three numbers that had money and put them together. Okay? Now, even though it looks like there's only two numbers here, 100 points and 40 questions, there is really not. There's really four numbers here. Where are your other two numbers?
2 point and 4 point.
2 points and 4 points. Okay? So we are going to, just like when we put the dollar signs together, we are going to put our words together. So we have 2 points, 4 points, and 100 points. Those three numbers have to go in the same equation. Okay? So that equation would look like 2x plus 4y equals 100. Now, the only number that we have left is the 40 questions. So what's the equation for that? Tre-
X plus Y equals 40.
X plus y equals 40. How is what right? Your answer or what I wrote down?
How is because the 100, I mean, the 40 is with the question.
Say that again.
Because it says there's 40 questions on the test. So if it's 2 points,
Okay. Okay, so what am I going to multiply that bottom equation by? -4. So the top equation is going to stay the same. And the bottom equation would be -4x minus 4y equals -160. So we will get -2x equals -60. And so x equals 30. So we have 30 2-point questions. How many 4-point questions are on the test? 10. How do we get that? You can substitute it in, or you know there's 40 questions on the test. If 30 of them are 2-point questions, what's 40 minus 30? 10.